Hi, it's Addie Kelzer with Urban Fitness Twin Cities, and today Keita is here with us because I'm going to be showing her a couple of exercises that are a really nice combo. So even if you only have 3 or 4 minutes to do a workout today, this is a great combination of stuff to try. So the two exercises are high plank and mountain climbers, and there's many different kinds of ways that you can do mountain climbers, but today she's going to do a specific jogging version. So the first thing I'm going to have you do, Keita, is you're going to set up in high plank. So you're going to be on your hands with your shoulders stacked above your wrists, and I would encourage you to go ahead and try this with us as we go through it. So on your toes, you're going to press up into plank. So we've got the whole body in a nice straight line. It's straight from the heels to the top of the head. And she's going to hold this one for only about 10 seconds this first round. Next, I want you to move to a mountain climber. So one at a time, you're going to bring one knee into your chest, and then you're going to switch it with the other foot. Good. Let's just do a walking pace this first version. This is a great beginner version of a mountain climber. So actually she's done about 10 seconds here. She's going to go back to high plank. So you're going to stabilize here and hold. And again, we're looking for another 10 seconds. And she's still elongated in a straight line with the top of her head reaching toward the wall. And then last round, you're going to go back to mountain climbers, pulling that knee into the chest. Good. So again, oh, lost a sock. That's okay. We're still going. Awesome. And rest the knees. Very nice. So this is a great progression that you can work up to. We have clients doing a minute of mountain climbers and a minute of plank, and then they repeat it again. So really they're in plank for 4 full minutes. I don't expect anybody to start there. I would say 10 seconds of each is going to be a great place to start doing 2 rounds, and then see if you can inch up to 15 seconds and 20 seconds at every round. And if you can get to 30 with each 2 sets, you've got 2 full minutes of exercise that you can fit into your day, hopefully. Cities. And today, Keita is here to teach us a quick 5-minute exercise that you can do to strengthen both your upper and your lower abs. So she's going to show me how to do it, and please go ahead and roll out your mat and follow along with us today. All right, let's go ahead.
Okay, so first thing you're going to do is lie down on your mat. Okay, so I call these upper and lower pulses, and they're more or less how they sound. Couple tips first. I like to do my abs in what Pilates calls imprinted spine, so from the base of your tailbone all the way to your upper back should be firmly pressed in the floor, so it's like you're imprinting your spine into the ground. 2 reasons for this. One is it helps you know when your back's moving, and you don't want your back to move because then you're working your back muscles and not your abs. And the other reason is because then you can really pull those low abs in and stabilize your hips. The other tip is you want to think about your abs, instead of going up towards the ceiling, you want to pull in from your belly button, center of your spine, towards your spine, and then press it out towards the side. So your abs are literally coming in and spreading out. All right, so we're going to start with our upper pulses. Hands can either be behind your head, or they can reach down towards your toes, whichever you feel more comfortable with. And if you have either a yoga block or a small ball to put in between your knees to make sure your knees don't spread out further than your hips, that can be a helpful little tool as well. So let's start with your hands behind your head today. Okay, so what you're going to do is curl up like you would a crunch. Then you're going to stay up here, and you're going to do little pulses up with your upper body. Pulling those belly buttons in and spreading them out. Good. Good, just a couple more. And you can do anywhere from 10 to 20 to start, depending on where you feel comfortable. Good, and come down. Now if you want to increase the difficulty of those, you would just bring your knees up to tabletop. Knees directly over your hips, shins parallel to the ceiling, and then you could do them that way. Yeah, pull everything in and open. Yeah. So if you can see your belly button, you don't want it to round up towards the ceiling. You really want it to flatten out. It's going to build you more of that 6-pack look. It's also going to get into the muscles underneath your transverse abdominis. So you're working your whole core and not just your big muscles. Good. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is lower abs. And for these, your knees must be in tabletop. So I'm going to have you bring your knees back up to tabletop. Good. And for these, unless your head is up, I would put your hands down by your side, reaching towards your toes. So for starters, you can leave your head on the ground and then we'll lift our heads up in a minute. But what you want to do for these, you're going to pull your knees towards your chest, but you're not going to do your legs to do this. What you're going to do is you're going to push your belly button in towards your spine, which is going to make your hips rock backwards slightly, and then you're going to release just a little bit. So you're doing little pulses by pulling your belly button in and releasing slightly. Not all the way. Keep that spine pressed into the ground. You want to make sure that low and mid back is pressed into the floor. Yep. But this comes down. Yes. So your legs move, but it's not stemming from your legs. It's actually coming from your hips. Good. Try one more. Good. Now bring your hands behind your head. Curl your upper body up off the mat. And now again with so this is slightly more advanced. So once the first set gets easier for you, you can lift your head up off the ground and do it with your head up and your knees in tabletop. Still working those low abs. You should really feel it kind of in your belly button and maybe even a little bit more towards your pelvic floor. Good. Yep. Okay, last set. Once you've mastered those, you're going to do upper and lower pulses together. So when you're ready, come on up. And then you're just going to come up and in at the same time and releasing slightly. So it's small movements. It's not very big. Keep it very small and controlled. So you're really targeting your whole core. Good. Last one. Very nice. And again, you can start with 5, 10, 15, 20, depending on where you're at. Once you hit 20 comfortably, I would start moving it up to the next level.
Weights, we'll go through 2 sets of these 2 exercises that are specifically for the chest and for the upper back into the lats area. And then I would say that triceps are going to be secondary on that lat exercise. So go ahead and lay down and we'll get started with the first one, which is a narrow chest press. So this chest press is going to be narrow because the elbows are tucked in really close to the body. So every time you come down, you're actually going to brush your elbows along your t-shirt. So if you want to grab that weight over there, and I've got the second one for you here. Good. So she started with a 90-degree angle at her elbows, and every time she comes back down to the mat, I want to see that nice 90-degree angle at the elbow. The common mistake is allowing that dumbbell to come too close to the shoulder, which creates a really sharp angle on the elbow, and we want to avoid that. So once you feel solid with your weights in hand, you're going to go ahead and press up over the shoulders until the arms are straight. Good. And then brushing your t-shirt, you're going to bend your elbows all the way until they touch the mat again. Good. Let's do another one. Pressing up and back down. Nice. We'll do just one more in this set. And if you're watching at home, you might do 8 or 10, maybe even 12 of this before you move on. Okay, next I'm going to take one of these from you, and you're going to grab both hands around the second dumbbell. So how you're holding this dumbbell is she's actually allowing the dumbbell to fall down toward her face a little bit. She's got a hold of the top hex here. All right, so she's going to start with that finish position that she just came from on the chest press, where it's all the way up over her shoulders. And one thing I want you to watch for is your rib cage is really gonna be encouraged to pop up toward the ceiling to lift, and you might even notice your low back coming off of the mat. We want to avoid that by really pulling those ribs together in the front, almost like we're knitting those ribs together and pulling in toward the center, toward the spine. So you're kind of holding this throughout the exercise. All right, with a straight arm, we're going to take the arms all the way overhead, and you might actually touch the dumbbell to the floor, but on these first couple, I would just encourage you to feel out that range of motion and make sure that your shoulders feel okay with the range of motion that you've chosen, and then you can see if you want to go a little bit lower as well. And then again, we're just paying attention to that rib cage. Awesome. So I'm going to hand you your first dumbbell again. We'll go through another quick set, moving back into that narrow chest press. Let's go ahead and do 3 of those on your own. And I would say as far as weight goes, you can kind of choose what feels comfortable for you, but in general, you will be able to use one heavier dumbbell for the lat pullover versus she's got 2 medium dumbbells here. right, and then I'm going to take one away. So we could move her up in weight at this point, but just for simplicity's sake, we've got one set of dumbbells accessible today, so we're going to use it. Good, locking in that rib cage and then pulling overhead. A common mistake on this one would be that the elbows will want to bend as it goes overhead, and there we end up doing more of a tricep extension than engaging the lower lats. So you'll get a little bit of tricep on this, but it should be secondary to the lats. Very nice. All right, we got 2 quick sets of that. So
we're going to take your TheraBand, we're going to put it over the ball of one of your feet, and you will do both sides. Probably just going to do one with A today, but you want to do both sides. Otherwise, you walk around like a peg leg pirate because one side will be tighter than the other. So what you're going to do, most important, is that you get your knee straight and your foot flexed, even if your leg is down here. Yeah, it's most important that you get that knee straight and that foot flexed all the way. Then from there, you can go up only as high as you can keep that knee straight and that foot flexed. The reason is if you bend your knee or point your foot, you're losing some of the stretch through your calf and through your hamstrings. So the more you can flex and straighten your knee, the more you're going to stretch all the way down the back of your leg and maybe even into your butt. This other leg can either be knee bent, foot flat on the floor like I has it right now, or if this is a little too easy for you, you can take that leg and stretch it out along the ground. Yep. And then if you do that, I recommend trying to relax your quad, and you can even flex that foot and reach to the back of that heel if that's comfortable for you, but you just don't want to grip in the front of this leg. Now, any stretch you ever do, you have to hold it at least 30 seconds to improve in flexibility. So we've been here about 30 seconds. We're going to take both ends into your opposite hand as leg bends up. And you can play around with a little bit with this. Some of my clients prefer to do it in the same hand, but I like it in the opposite. And then we're going to move into the IT band. So you're going to take that leg across your body, but you're not going to let your hip lift off the floor. Her hip is solidly still on the floor, so the back of her hip is touching the floor. And you only go as far as you can feel stretch on the outside of your leg. If you want to increase the stretch, you're going to turn the bottom of your foot up towards the ceiling like you're going to stand on the ceiling. Feel it?
Yeah.
This is either everyone's favorite stretch or least favorite, but it's so good for you. So again, you want to hold this about 30 seconds. Okay, we're going to come back up to center. So now we're going to move on to the inner thigh. You're going to switch hands again. Go ahead and put this hand on this hip. So you want to keep that hip on the ground and not let it twist. Same thing with this knee. You want to keep it, if it's bent, you want to keep it straight up towards the ceiling. You don't want to let it pull towards your leg that's up in the air. Now you're going to take it out to the side. You can even maybe turn that knee out away from this leg a little bit if that's more comfortable. But you really want to keep everything square. Yep. And then just let that open. Now, the more side you go, the more you're going to feel your inner thigh. You can also, depending on your flexibility, try and put a little bit up higher towards your shoulder, which will get a little bit more into your hamstring. Just make sure the top of that hip is relaxed. So you're not gripping your hip and pulling your hip up with your leg. You're keeping your hips level and even. And again, you want to try and stay here for about 30 seconds. Okay, bonus stretch, we're going to come back up to center. Now for this one, you are going to straighten this leg out. Now you're going to keep your opposite shoulder, or same shoulder as leg that's up, sorry, on the floor. And you're going to take that leg all the way across and just let that hip lift off the ground. Yep, so switch hands for me. Take it in the other hand. Yep. And then you're gonna let it twist. And this gets into your back. So be careful if you have any restrictions on twisting, be careful with this one. But this is a nice one to get into your low back of your hip area. And this is the one where your hip can come up off the ground. All the rest of them, you want to keep both hips firmly on the ground.
But my opposite shoulder.
Yes, the more you can keep that shoulder on the ground, the better a twist you're going to get. And depending on your flexibility, your leg may not go all the way to the floor, or you may not be able to completely keep your shoulder to the ground.
Wonderful. That actually did feel like it loosened up even in that amount of time.
Yeah.
And don't forget to do the other side.